In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your own oat flour oatmeal chocolate chip cookies using your own oat flour made from scratch. How many times did I just say oat? So many. Let's get started. All you need to make oat flour is a food processor or a blender. If it's more high-powered, the better, but you can see I just have a little inexpensive one and it does the job totally fine. The next thing you need are some oats. I'm using really typical rolled oats, but if you are gluten-free or you have a wheat allergy or celiac disease, then you're going to want to use a purity protocol gluten-free oat, which means that it has been tested to see how many parts per million it contains of wheat, and it has to meet a certain threshold or else it doesn't fit the purity protocol. So that's really important if you have celiac disease. Make sure you're looking for purity protocol oats. I don't have a wheat allergy or gluten intolerance. I just like to bake with oat flour, so I'm just using regular oats for this. And then the next thing you need is something to store it in. I have this empty bag from an oat flour that I purchased, and I just keep using it and refilling it with my own homemade oat flour. You can also keep it in an airtight container. I don't have any extra containers right now, and I feel like the bag is doing just fine, so I'm gonna keep using that. Then we're just gonna blend it up until it's a really nice fine powder. With the blender that I'm using, it takes about a minute to get them to the right consistency. It should be very fine and powdery, and it should just look like flour. So I make a big batch of it, and then I just put it into my flour bag, and I keep it in the cupboard. And it's best to keep it away from light. So because I don't have a wheat allergy and I don't have celiac disease, I'm not using certified gluten-free oats, and the bag from the oat flour that I was using previously, the store-bought one, was also not certified gluten-free. If I were baking for someone who had celiac disease or a wheat allergy, I wouldn't be using this flour, and I wouldn't be storing it in the same bag as the one that had cross contact with wheat. I would just buy certified gluten-free oats, and I would make it fresh, and I would store it in a different container to avoid cross-contamination with that allergen. Now I have my fresh oat flour, and it's just ready to use whenever I need it. Now on to making the oat flour oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. They are so good. Step one is to take 2 mangy old bananas. The more ripe, the better. I really like them when they get to that kind of syrupy state. These ones aren't really there yet, but we're just gonna make do. To the bananas, I added a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I just added a 1/2 cup of lard, and now I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. You can either use an electric mixer or standing mixer, or just a fork, which is how I'm doing it. Roughly a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Now I'm going to fold all of this together. The next thing I'm going to do is prepare the chocolate. Just take a sharp knife and chop up the chocolate. I baked the cookies in a preheated 375-degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. I like them to be a little bit more on the crunchy side, and I think that makes them really nice for dipping into tea or coffee. And this is how they look when they're done. They are incredible. They're so, oh, they just smell so good. I wish you could smell them right now. Let's see. And I did 2 batches because I wanted to avoid overcrowding the pan. So I have one batch that's already done and one that's just cooling now. And oh my, so good. You can see them. I don't know if that's a great shot or not. These cookies are so good. They're like incredibly good. They're so oaty, a nice amount of chocolate, a little bit of banana and cinnamon. Almost makes them taste a little bit like banana bread. These are really good. It's gonna be a hit in your house.